Right, between now and 4, we've got a lot of American sport to cover, and we will start with NBA, with the Guardians' Max Whittle. Hi, Max.
Hey, Bob. Good to talk to you again.
And you as well. I was just having a look through the tables before we get into some of the subject matter that we need to talk about. I was surprised to see the Raptors doing as well as they are. I know they had a good season last year, but I'm looking at their record. They're in behind the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference at the moment.
Yeah, looking like it's going to stay that way. Toronto's finished second last season in the Eastern Conference. They're the main challenger to Cleveland. We talked about last week how inferior the Eastern Conference is compared to Cleveland. Toronto have actually lost 3 times to Cleveland this season, but they're still, I'm going to guess, all the way through to second, and then they'll meet the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, well, it's good. I mean, because Toronto's having a bit of a resurge. They didn't quite win the MLS Cup last night, but they got pretty close to it. And it's definitely the sports city to be in if you're in North America at the moment. So, milestone week around the league, not surprisingly, surrounding LeBron James and his assists, 7,000 of them.
Yes, the first frontcourt player to reach 7,000 assists and the first ever player with 27,000 points and 7,000 assists. He also has over 7,000 rebounds for his career at the moment. It came over a win on Saturday over Charlotte. He accrued 44 points, 10 assists and 9 rebounds. So he's 16th on the all-time list now in assists. All guards are ahead of him, so all smaller players essentially who are holding the ball a lot more than LeBron is, and he's averaging 9.1 assists a game this year, which is the highest on the Cleveland team. It's looking like he'll finish around 12th all-time in assists at the end of this season. And it's not the only thing he's done this week. On Friday, last week, he passed Elvin Hayes for 9th on the scoring list. So it's really staggering what he's doing. And he's in his 14th season now. He's only gone twice where he's played under 70 games. Remember, an 82 regular season game. He's never had a serious injury. He's played nearly 200 playoff games, and he only needs 48 rebounds to crack the top 100 in that statistical category.
You'll get that in 2 matches.
Absolutely will. The way he's playing at the moment, he's a better all-around player than Michael Jordan. Absolutely, and the stats back that up.
Will he be seen like that historically, though? Do you reckon? I mean, for those who are big basketball fans and non-basketball fans, do you think he'll be viewed in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think purely as well, because when he went back to Miami, he played with Cleveland for the first 8 of 9 seasons for his career. Then he went to Miami, and a lot of people said he was championship chasing. He joined up with Wade and Bosh there, and he won 2 titles. But going back to Cleveland and winning the championship for Cleveland, they hadn't won a major title since 1964, the city, and he promised it to them. I think that elevates him, and it makes the stats look even better. He's gonna finish with higher totals than everyone, really. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is still 11,000 points or so away. He's number 1 on the list, but LeBron will finish probably top 5 in points and assists and top 10 in rebounds. That's unheard of.
Yeah, poor old Kareem will always be best known for Airplane, as you well know.
Oh, he was fantastic in that one. LeBron will be probably acting after his career's over.
Yeah. Well, that tends to be where they go. They either go with Bugs Bunny or they go into comedies with Leslie Nielsen, who sadly obviously isn't with us anymore, but that's the kind of route that they take. We talked about this on the programme before, and there's no end in sight to the triple-doubles that Russell Westbrook's getting.
Yeah, so I've actually got the game up as we speak. They're playing Boston, Oklahoma, and Westbrook needs 5 assists and 1 rebound in the last quarter to make it 8 in a row for him. So he tied Michael Jordan for 7 triple-doubles in a row. Thunder lost on Friday, so they actually went 6-1 over that stretch, nearly unbeaten. He's now got 12 on the season, but it looks, I'm going to guess he won't get it in this game with 5 assists in 1 quarter. But 12 on the season and 7 in a row, pretty amazing. And the other point guard doing really well at the moment, Chris Paul, on Saturday against New Orleans, the LA Clippers point guard, he got 20 points, 20 assists, and 0 turnovers. Now, turnovers were first recorded back in 1978, and no player has ever, since that time, got 20 points, 20 assists, and 0 turnovers. So that's fascinating. To be able to control a game and do what you've got to do as a point guard and create while taking all the chances, passing to other players, not to turn the ball over once. And the last one last week with milestones, Klay Thompson for the Golden State Warriors. He scored 60 points in 29 minutes. He touched the ball for 90 seconds and had 11 dribbles in that time. And the Warriors were up 35 when he checked out of the game late in the 3rd quarter, so he didn't have a chance because Steve Kerr didn't want to test the basketball gods and give Klay an injury. He took him out. Only 5 players have scored 70. Michael Jordan didn't do it in his career. His career high was 69. But Klay Thompson's such a cool guy. He brings his dog Rocco to the games. Nothing seems to bother him. And 60 points.
Is he on the bench? Just
Not
in case.
quite. He's in the locker room now.
Of course, we should point out NBA games are 48 minutes, so it is slightly easier to do that.
Yeah, well, do you want to try? I know you mentioned a few weeks ago that you used to be a point guard. 60 points in 29 minutes.
I do that every week.
That's 3/4 in English games.
Absolutely. I doubt if Phil Jackson's ever heard of Chaz and Dave, or indeed the song Rabbit, but he's pretty good at it.
He's fantastic at it. He never stops knackering. I tell you, Wednesday last week, Cleveland Cavaliers went to New York to play at Madison Square Garden, and we talked about a couple of weeks ago how Jackson called James's business associates posse, and James said it before the game he wasn't interested in meeting with Jackson. And a day before, Phil Jackson had said a couple of things I wanted to bring up tonight, this morning, or should I say, on CBS. He said about the posse word he used. He said the word itself carries connotation. I just don't understand that part of it. I guess word choice could be something I could regret. That's two coulds in one sentence there.
It was on just a minute. They were going repetition.
Absolutely, someone should have picked up on it. Cleveland went in there and they beat the Knicks 126-94. They scored 22 threes, the most ever conceded by the Knicks. And really interesting, at the end of the fourth quarter, James and Kyrie Irving, his teammate, were on the sidelines playing the water bottle challenge during the game, when you throw the ball up in the water bottle up in the air and try and land it. And it didn't look good, I must be honest. It didn't look good, and I'm surprised Tyronn Lue, the coach, didn't go over and say, guys, stop this. But I think he was trying to make a point to Phil Jackson, who was in the crowd. And in the same interview, Jackson said about one of his own players, Carmelo Anthony, that Anthony could play the role that Jordan and Kobe did in this triangle offense that Jackson's teams have always played down the years. And he's saying about Anthony that he's breaking a team rule by holding onto the ball for too long. His quote was like, holding the ball for 2 seconds benefits the defense. Carmelo has tendency to hold the ball for 3, 4, 5 seconds, and everybody comes to a stop. Now, Anthony's spoken to Kobe Bryant, who used to play for Phil Jackson, about how to deal with Jackson's comments, and Kobe just told him, look, Jackson's going to keep talking. So whether Melo ever requests a trade, I don't know, but Jackson has a point of just continuously commenting on things he shouldn't be, I think.
Well, that's a kind of ridiculous principle. You play the game, you play the ball to the circumstances that you find yourself in. So if you need to hold the ball for 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, with that amount of shot clock, then that's what you do. You can't have kind of suddenly triggers out your hands after 2 or 3 seconds. If you're watching the play develop and you need to hold the ball and wait for a screen to be set or wherever it might be, that's what you do, don't you?
Well, to enlighten your listeners, the triangle offense is very much a fluid motion offense where you have a point guard at the top of the three-point line, you'll have someone on the elbow on the free-throw line and someone in the corner, and you're supposed to give the ball up and cut constantly. But everyone knows, and it wasn't a news flash here from Phil Jackson, Carmelo Anthony is a ball hog. He always has been. He'll go down as one of the greatest scorers, but not a great winner. Jackson's saying what we all know. He just doesn't need to say it. And yes, Melo is used to holding the ball and looking for a shot. If the Knicks only moved the ball better, he'd be even better. So he needs to understand that, but Jackson has to pipe down a little.
Little red lights are flashing before my very eyes on the next subject we need to talk about, because we've been here before and not always profitably. The NBA Players Association and the league with their new collective bargaining agreement. Now, very often this gets messy.
Yeah, collective bargaining agreement is essentially a labour deal between the NBA Players Association and the owners of the league, and it does get messy. We had a lockout back in 2011 where both sides couldn't come to an agreement. It was basically over basketball-related income, which is all sorts of things, tickets, food being bought, TV contracts. And this lockout 5 years ago lasted 8 months. The season had to be cut down to 66 games. It only started in December. And in this time of lockouts, you cannot trade or sign players. Players can't access any NBA team facilities. They can't go and use the trainers. So right now, we've got a deadline this Thursday in 3 days' time for the NBA Players Association and the owners to essentially agree on a new labour deal. And Mark Stein of ESPN has said that just recently, control over licensing matters and use of player likenesses is the sticking point. Now, Carmelo Anthony, who we just talked about, he's a vice president at the CBA, and he said he'll be very surprised if a deal does get done, because all the talks have been positive the last few months, but they still haven't seen, it's 25th hour kind of thing here. Because at the moment, the NBA, licensing control is maintained by the league, where the PA at the moment, they want to change that rule. The long and short of it is, if either side opt out before Thursday, which they can, the existing deal will run until June next year, the end of June. So both sides have until then to negotiate if there's an opt-out. And like I say, always the biggest sticking point is money, as it is in a lot of things in life. Basketball-related income, at the moment, it's split about 51% to 49% in favour of the players. I expect one of the sides to opt out before Thursday, but we should get a deal done before next July, and there won't be a strike, I'm hoping.
That's good, but the image rights thing is a real sticking point these days. It was something that 10 years ago did not come into the equation.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, it's crazy now if you think about it. Like the NFL, the players do run that rule. The NBA kind of want a similar rule to the NFL, but it's really strange to see a lockout because players start signing in Europe and Asia just temporarily. Cities lose money as well because you're not staging games. You have to remember that as well. So, I mean, in 2011, I remember the owners wanted the players to go from 57% down to 47%, and the players wanted 53%. So it always comes back to this.
Finally, Minnesota Timberwolves, amazingly to me, are 6-17. 6 wins, 17 losses, for what on paper is one of the most talented players in the NBA.
Yeah,
playing teams in the NBA, I should say.
Very, very talented. Karl Anthony Towns, we've talked about on this show before, very, very good player in his second year. Andrew Wiggins, starting forward as well. He won Rookie of the Year last year. You've got Zach LaVine at shooting guard, who's becoming one of the best three-point shooters you've got in the game. Gorgie Deng at centre, solid player. Ricky Rubio, Spanish point guard, and you're backing him up. You've just drafted Chris Dunn at point guard. And you brought in Tom Thibodeau as coach, who's a very, very good defensive coach. Had some success in Chicago, and everyone expected him to come in. The T-Wolves coaching wasn't the best the last couple of seasons. Thibodeau to come in and really sort this team out because they're young, they've got a lot of talent, but what they don't have is that veteran presence. I've just watched them the last couple of hours against the Warriors. It looks like they're going to lose that game as well. They were doing well for a while, and it's really one of those teams where you can't work out what is wrong. They've got all the talent there. Last season, Kevin Garnett was on the team just to be an advisor, essentially. I think that's what they're missing, is that veteran presence to show guys who are young how to win, how to go forward. It's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs. As you said, their record is very poor at the moment, and they're quite a way out at the moment. Just looking at the standings now, they're 14th out of 15th in the West, so a lot of work to do for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Max, thanks for your time tonight. We'll catch up with you again soon on this programme. NBA journalist and writer for The Guardian, Max Whittle, there with his thoughts on the NBA.